Hi, I'm Tanya Tyagi. In this video, I will share three ethical dilemmas I personally encountered and explain how I resolved them. I will analyze each scenario using textbook references, ethical theories, and 8-step decision making model while also reflecting on what I learned. So I will describe the circumstances. This incident occurred during my university's annual cultural fest where I served on the organizing committee. A close friend on the same committee used a portion of the event's fund for personal use. I discovered this while going through expenses report. The stakes were high. If I reported him, he might have faced public embarrassment or been expelled from the committee, but remaining silent would have meant betraying my commitment to the team and condoning unethical use of funds. The issue represented deeply to me because of the event represented our university and students had trusted us with their money. Who was involved? My friend and I were directly involved, but the incident also impacted other committee members, student attendees, faculty supervisors, and the university reputation. This wasn't just about the people, it affected an entire event and institution. So I decided to speak privately with our lead coordinator and explain the situation factually. Together, we confronted my friend and gave him the chance to return the money and resign quietly, as I'm satisfied with how we handle it transparently and with dignity. However, in hindsight, I might have involved an external advisor or faculty member sooner to ensure unbiased oversight. Still, I feel we balanced ethics and empathy fairly well. Analysis with textbook references. So, ethical leadership involves doing what's right even under pressure. Role morality, how people often behave differently in personal versus professional roles, was central to my dilemma. Moral intensity applied here since misuse of money could lead to institutional damage. Why was it important to be ethical? Our actions reflected not only on us but on whole event. Upholding financial honesty ensured trust and accountability, essential values in leadership. So, what values were involved? Social values of fairness and honesty, along with personal responsibility, were involved. I also drew from my family's teaching about the integrity and doing the right thing regardless of consequences. So I briefly considered whether reporting would do any good or whether people would just cover it up. But I rejected that thought, as the textbook says, um, n- like sexism often erodes ethical leadership, and I didn't want to fall into that trap. So, 8-step moral consequences. I followed nearly all the steps from ethical decision making model. First, identified the ethical issue, collected the facts, explored my options, considered stakeholders, choose a solution, and how I acted, how I reflected, what I learned from that situation. So, yeah, and there are so many psychological factors like friendship, fear of confrontation, and stress affected my judgment. I also felt guilty. initially for reporting a friend, even though it was the right thing to do. So I use deontological ethics. I acted according to my duty to uphold rules and fairness, not based on the outcome of emotions. I'm gonna explain my second ethical dilemma: volunteer taking credit. So, at the local NGO, I volunteered with a team providing educational resources to underprivileged children. One volunteer didn't contribute but frequently took credit for other work. This behavior was hurting morale and reducing our efficiency, but the person relied to the experience for their college application. Reporting them might have hurt their future. Who was involved? The key people were in this volunteering, the rest of our team, our supervisor, and ultimately the students were served. They were receiving lower quality support due to these disruptions. So I didn't report them directly. Instead, I initiated team huddles where everyone shared their task and goals. This encouraged accountability without direct confrontation. Looking back, I'm proud of this choice. It was discreet but effective. Still, if this behavior had continued, I would have taken more direct actions. So, analysis with textbook references. So, ethical courage is not always about dramatic actions, it's often about doing small things to maintain integrity. Fairness to group dynamics is crucial. Uh, Group psychological and diffusion of responsibility were at play here. So, importance of ethics. The NGO's credibility of the students' learning outcomes were on the line. Ethics ensured fairness and team cohesion. Social values involved. Social values like teamwork, accountability, and honesty. I also drew from personal beliefs about helping others genuinely. I initially felt that calling out the issue might not change anything, but I reminded myself that passive tolerance would only worsen the problem. Here's the 8 step model comparison. My process involved identifying the issue, brainstorming solutions, assessing impact, and acting in a collaborative way. I used most of 8 steps, particularly stakeholders, awareness, and solution implementation. What psychological factors involved? I felt a strong aversion to confrontation. I also worried about damaging the volunteers' chances, but peer frustration pushed me to act. I followed utilitarian ethics, choosing the approach that created the greatest good and least harm for most people. Here is the third group project contribution. Describe the circumstances. In my final year, I worked on a group assignment. One member couldn't contribute due to personal problems. So, when I asked to list individual contributions, I faced a dilemma: protect their academic standing or be truthful. If I lied, it would be unfair to others, but if I told the truth, they could follow the course. So, who was involved in this thing? The group members, the rest of us, our professor, and academic staff were all stakeholders. So we reported honestly but included an explanation and a request for support instead of penalty. I believe that this balanced empathy with fairness. I'm happy with this decision. It um, upheld integrity while advocating for someone who was struggling. Analysis with the textbook and textbook references. So, comparison and leadership go hand in hand. Distributive justice, ensuring fairness in shared efforts. Rationalizing can be dangerous. I resisted justifying action. So, importance of ethics. Um, I think grading and future opportunity were at stake. Fairness to the rest of the group was crucial, and being honest preserved academic integrity. Values involved: family values around honesty and empathy shaped my decision. So, social values like fairness and justice were also key. I feared honesty might not be appreciated, but I resisted the urge to consume. The system wouldn't respond. The professor were very understanding. So I there is a 8 step moral comparison. I followed all 8 steps, especially gathering facts, assessing stakeholders, and choosing an empathetic course of action. Sympathy for my friend, pressure to be fair, and anxiety about potential fallout affected my decision making. Ethical. Um, Sympathy for my friend and family pressure. Friend pressure to be fair and anxiety about potential fallout affected my decision making. So, as I reflect on these three ethical dilemmas, I realize how profoundly they have shaped my growth, not just as a leader, but as a person. Each situation challenged me to consider not only what was right, but also why it was right. In all of them, I found myself returning to the principles of virtue ethics, especially the value of compassion, honesty, and integrity. These values help guide me when rules were unclear or when doing the doing the convenient thing would have been for easier than doing the right thing. So, in practice, this means building habits of self awareness, active listening, and honest reflection. It means owning my mistakes and learning from them. It means holding others accountable in a way that is respectful and growth oriented, not punitive. And perhaps most importantly, it means staying grounded in my values even when the world around me is messy, fast paced, or uncertain. To summarize, these three dilemmas gave me something uh, no textbook ever could: the lived experience of ethical decision making under pressure. The theories I learned in the classroom were essential. They gave me the tools and vocabulary to think critically, but it was the real world, in the discomfort and uncertainty of actual situation, that I learned what ethical leadership feels like. And what I have come to believe in this: the best leaders aren't just the smartest or most efficient. The best leaders are those who lead with integrity, who stay true to their values, who care deeply about the impact of their choices, and who were willing to stand up for what's right even when it's hard. So, as I continue on my leadership journey, I carry forward not only what I have been learned from these dilemmas, but also who I have become through them. So, a leader who values compassion over convenience, honesty over comfort, and courage over compliance. A leader who strive not just to make good decision, but to be a good person. And across all these experiences, I learn a fundamental truth: ethical leadership is not about perfection, it's about intention. It's not just knowing what's right, it's having the courage and emotional strength to live by what's right even when it's difficult, unpopular, or costly. And to me, that's what ethical leadership is all about. Thank you.